Alright, what's going on, guys? It's SIKH Vlogger here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you a country that I fully completely designed by myself. So here you see two pictures side by side. The right one is my country when I started to build it. Well, I built everything from scratch. Every single tree here I drew by hand, and every single buildings and shops here I drew by hand. But this side, the picture on the right, is the country 10 years ago. So it's all imaginary. So imagine this 10 years ago and this currently on the left side is the country currently. So we see some differences with some urban development, especially with forest, and the trees have increased actually because I like my country to have trees, so there was a big planting scheme. But we'll get into that details later. So this is part one, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and follow for part two. So for part one, I'll show you the country 10 years ago. So this is the country 10 years ago. I started to build everything from scratch, alright? So there wasn't much trees. This was as you can see, the bottom part is the national forest. This big area right here consists of many animals, a wide array of animals with fertile lands with rivers and lakes and forests and animals. And the red line is the boundaries of my old country. So the country spans pretty wide, and right center of it is an enclave, which is pretty cool. Also, this is a Sikh country, so we're going to see some Sikh traditions going on along the country. Since the Sikhs don't have their own country, I would imagine this is how a Sikh country would look like. I know it's small, that's because it's a lot to draw inside by hand. This took me around 20 to 25 days, nearly a month. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So firstly, this is the capital city right here. Around this area, this is the capital city. It's the largest city in the country. The country is relatively small, but if a real Sikh country, I expect it to be much bigger. But this is just a small scale. But it has everything in it, at least everything that I could think of. So the country really started from the west side, really, right here. This is the start of civilization in this country, where the box is highlighted. So we see the Old Town Road, which means it's the first road that was ever built in this country. It's a pretty big road, especially in the capital area. The roads are pretty massive, as you can see here. Big roads with 4 to 6 lane roads, which is pretty big. So we'll start with the Old Town Road, alright? So this is the train station, the main big train station. As you can see, it's really close to the border of the other country. The red line is the border. Pretty close to the border with the country, and this country is very prosperous. It's not poor, it's highly developed with people very educated and very religious, which is a sign of good. And then, as this is a Sikh country, we have a Gurdwara, and this is the Gurdwara land, and it's pretty massive. It's usually made of very fine gold materials, which is not entirely gold, it could be just painted, but it's just to show symbols and that it's gold. And this whole area is owned by the Gurdwara. This whole block of land right here. Whoa, sorry for that. This whole block of land is owned by the Gurdwara. Alright, and the Gurdwara has its own farm and livestock, so it can feed the langar, the free kitchen. So it's an organic Gurdwara. The cool thing about my country is that you can design it. It's entirely your choice. No one can tell you what to do. The government can't stop you because you are the government. You are the leader of the country. You can decide everything, what's going to happen in the country, what's not going to happen in the country. So you're going to decide everything, which is the fun thing about this. You have freedom. You have freedom to choose everything. You have freedom to put buildings wherever you want to put them. So this, my Gurdwara is going to give free homes, free residential area with shops around it. Of course, religious shops, selling turbans, selling Gangas, Kirpas, everything, shops, trees, school, a big school here and sports, library, hotel, a big football field with some nice buildings around the football field area, as you can see. And by the way, this is just the country 10 years ago, so keep in mind that in the next video, in the part 2, there will be more improvements going along in this city, especially around the capital area and especially around the northern barren area supposedly right now, but there's a lot more life around this northern area and much more development has improved. So this is just the beginning of the country, you can say. We can see much more development, and there was a new school in part 2 right here. It's a pretty big school, so just keep in touch. Railway systems have improved in part 2 as well, but you just gotta put that notification bell on if you want to see part 2, really. Okay, now we move north a little bit. We see the park, the first ever park in this country. Trains going everywhere around the commercial area. So this is the main capital area. The bad thing about the capital is surrounded by its neighbors, the borders. And it's a really bad place to do the capital, as what should be more central is around this area. So this area of the country is more central, really, around the motorway right here. This is the motorway, we'll get into that later. So around this area would have been perfect, but then there's a national park here, but they could have done around here, as the country does extend all the way here, and we get this whole meander of a river too, which is pretty cool. We have a lot of land right there, but it's unexploited really. But in part 2, it is gonna see some life, but keep in touch for that. So around the Gurdwara is where the main people live, the life of the city, with the bustling markets, with people gushing and wind and food and smells and spices. And we have hospital nearby where people live, one of the biggest hospitals in the country. We have Little Walk. Little Walk just means a place where people come and walk, and there's always restaurants around, so it's a nice place to walk and to eat. And we have kindergarten right here, which is also owned by the school in the Gurdwara. If you know why there's a lake in the Gurdwara, that's just a Sarovar, and it's just part of the Sikh faith. And near the school, there's also a theatre for the drama students and a theatre for the people of the country to come and watch, because that's just part of the entertainment here. And armies, so if you're in the Sikh country, army is probably very important. That's why there's an army camp right over here in the city, so we can have some oxygen into the city right here. And the very we're just gonna show you all the army. We have army school just above the commercial area with this road, so that's the army school. And this area gets really developed in the future, but not anymore, not now. We have army in the northern country, which is just patrolling the area really. And there's just 3 army centers right now, but in the future there's going to be more, so keep in touch. And the very obvious thing you can see is the dam. Okay, this is the energy supply of the country. We get lots of energy here, especially the army controlling the national grid and the energy building. So we have 2 dams here, especially with the big meander right here, which is going to be cut off. But it's not going to be cut off anymore, as the dam is regulating the meander now. And we have a bigger dam right here, and this dam really holds all the water. It's a reservoir now, so people can just have a cycle around here. As you can see, there's a pretty much a cycle area with the dot lines, with the dot of black lines. So this is the cycle area around the dam. Okay, let's move into that later. Above the market, we'll have a court. We have a lot of shops, car rentals, furniture shops, mechanics, visas and embassies, a hotel. So this is a big area right here, the government area. This is where the government and leaders of the country live, and this is where they take not live actually, this is where they make all the decisions. So all the decisions of the country is made right here with the government, and business office just right below the building. So it's a pretty big building and an important building. But where the important people live is in this rich area right here. So this is where the government lives, and this is where all the other important people live in this 3 building. We have the parliament building right here. So this is most of where the decision take place as well. This is a very important train station, and since um, then this is a golden rail, so this is a very famous tourist attraction. And opposite the golden rail is embassies and visas and passports, and this is where all the people come. So this is a very posh area, especially here. This is a rich there's no houses here visible, but this is where the rich people live with big mansions and big houses. So not only the governments, but anyone who has a lot of money. And around that, along the river is fancy restaurants with beautiful views of the river, of this river, and it's just really fabulous, really, to just hang around this entire area. So it's one of the highly developed places of this country. So this is a must visit place for any tourist to come. So this area is pretty cool. And the gold, you might think where they're getting it from. So this area has a lot of mining, especially from the rivers. The rivers provide a lot of fertile soil, and with that comes with all the gold. So here's the mining site. Right here is near the river, and in the future there's going to be a new mining site just opposite to the enclave country. The enclave country has the mining, but in the future they will further develop that this region has a lot of gold in it and has a lot of platinum. So this boosts the economy quite a lot. The bad thing about the country now is there's no ports, so imports and exports are kind of hard. They just have air travel, with the airport situated on the easterly side of the country right here. So the airport has a little town above it, the Aero City. So the airport is a mall and a hotel and a tower. And to go to the airport, there's tolls. So this is the tollway, and this is the highway. So, and here is the motorway. So this is where you come and stop for gas and for drink, and for a wee yeah. So you take this road. Once you pass this river, you're on the highway. So now all the way, and you get down from the highway until you reach the airport. So you have to pay for toll for this road. This is the first toll road. In the future, it's going to be much more, especially in the north as it gets more developed. And especially in the second episode, we're going to see a rise of a port. So stay tuned. Also, around this area, center of the city really is a university. Okay, education is really important here. So we have a university there, really large university as well, which teaches anything you want, really. All right, and then center of this main area is just housing, and the red building is for emergency fire. There's any fire around and like emergency things that you need. Basically, the 911 center of the country, and this is just a gas station, and this is hall of where the important things are held, hall for concerts, hall for productions, for music, for anything that you need a hall. And here's the Parliament building again, and so this area is pretty a capital city really, so you expect to see stuff like this. And here's a very nice place to come as well. This area, as I mentioned earlier, is rich. Also, it's a nice place to walk and have a nice breeze in your face to walk around here with the trees and fancy buildings, and yeah, nice place to walk around. A very good tourist attractions, as you know already. Okay, around here's a commercial area. We'll see buildings, a lot of buildings such as workplace. There can be really any buildings. There's always buildings in cities. All right, so there's buildings up here, and this is pretty small. Further up, there's gonna be more buildings, but this is the emergency red building again with some other buildings here. And here's a city square with the hotel, shops, train station. So here's a city square, basically like Times Square. It's not as good as that, of course. Times Square is legendary. And if you go up this road right here, you're gonna see a pause in the commercial area, because now there's a ruins area. Okay, so this is the dead man zone. This is where a war took out before the country was divided into a straight line, just like here, before the 10-year period. And there was nothing above them. This whole land above didn't exist for the country. It just became released just around 10 years ago. Keep in mind, we're talking about this 10 years in already behind. So this is the old ruins of the war. You can come see right here, which is not developed yet. But yeah, There's really nothing here. As you can see, our country really cares about trees, but there's not that much trees in this area, and that's because no deforestation. Just happens to be no trees, but around this area there was deforestation, yes, because there is a factory right here which needs wood, and a factory is important for clothes, and there's going to be more rise of factories later. Above the motorway, the rest area where toilets are, the restaurants are from the toll, there's also a construction site right here. The cement for everything. And this, as you can see, is the start of a building of a port with roads and houses already starting to build. And this shows that there's going to be a port coming soon, but not yet. You have to wait for part 2. Alright, back to the capital city. If you move further along the commercial area, we see a big C, and that is basically just Tesco's or Sainsbury. And we see a museum, hotel, apartments, car rentals, shops, hotel, shops, hotel, a mall, the first ever mall in the whole country. There's definitely going to be more in the future. A cinema, parking, train station, because this is a pretty big area really. Sports center, housing sector. This is known as a sector 19 as it gets pretty developed. Oops. This is known as sector 19 as it gets pretty developed here. This area, keep in mind, keep in touch. And this is going to be a barren land, but it's going to be soon a port city. So keep in mind for that. And these buildings along the highway are just car rentals and like just like warehouses really. And this is logistic building. Here's a tree farm. If you're wondering where these highway trees come from, well, they come from a tree farm. Alright, I think we need to go south now. This is the hill, alright? This is the hill tribe. It's not really a tribe, it's just a city, a town, a village. So this whole area is mountainous, as you can see with that. Here's all mountainous. It's a mountain, as you can see with that. So this whole area is mountainous, and we have the temperature is slightly cooler here, so people come here quite a lot to visit just for the fun. And here's just some camps, and you can wonder, there's this red line that's extending inwards to the country, and yeah, it's kind of annoying for the country, but you know, the other country really wants to get in, so yeah, whatever. It's a waterfall, there's climbing, you can climb up to the peak. Hotel. Very important thing about this town is there's a big cinema right here where people come. It used to be the first cinema, but not anymore. So this mountain village is very good for fresh air, just the naturals really. The airport already mentioned. There's a nut farm right here with the light green trees. That's just a nut farm. Train station goes above here, and the roads are starting to build, but they're not fully constructed, finished constructing yet. As you can see, the highway just finished around the airport, and further construction plans to go up north now and develop the northern areas. As you can see, they haven't fully completed it, but the train station is kind of complete to the north, but not really. But they started the road. They made a bridge across the river, and they have a big highway here that goes, not really a highway, just a big road that goes along the northern area of the river, but not that north. But if you go north, more north, you start to see green bridges, and that's because this country is very eco-friendly, and they allow animals to pass through the road without getting killed by cars. So these eco bridges allows animals to cross, on only animals. So here we see an animal sanctuary or a zoo. There's no zoo in this country. There's only sanctuaries with the safari right here. And here's a campground for campers, and there's an extensive hike trail. As you can see, these dot lines are just hike trails and camps and basically wilderness exploration, school trips, and You know, all this nature seekers people all can hang out right here by the river. Um, there is another town right here, and this is a religious town, and it's a village, a very small village, uncontacted, no roads connecting it because there's a vast wetland area right here. It's just wet, so you can't build a road here. This is a nature building, nature observatory. And yeah, this town is very beautiful with traditional Sikh things. There's Gatka, and there's a school, just a town school. There's a main gurdwara right here in the tip of the meander land. And there's a big religious statue right here with livestock and dirt roads, and just sustaining itself and its population in its own area right here along the banks of the river. Above we see a small farmland community, and that's basically for the army. Over here we start to see some deforestation above the army school area. As you can see, they're preparing for the farmland and also for the wood factory that's located right here. So the wood factory cut a lot of trees along this area. And I think that covers up the first part of this country series. And oh yeah, this area, maybe I didn't mention that much of the national park. This is the biggest national park. It's untouched. There's no hiking trails. You're not allowed to go in there. It's just for nature to roam itself freely in this beautiful national park. There's of course some nature documentaries and observations about it, but this is all imaginary anyways. I hope you see how my mind works, and this river is pretty beautiful to travel. People can travel quite a lot, and with the mining town located right here sustaining itself as well. The other countries, deforestation in other countries pretty high, but this country is related pretty low with deforestation as this area is also mountainous. It's another country, but it's mountainous, just to keep that in mind. So rivers, as you can see, these blue streams of lines comes out quite a lot. Upstage, on the right side, top right, we see farmland from another country as well. Okay, so that wraps up part 1, and I'll see you in part 2. And part 2 is this one, and I'll give you a sneak peek right now. The country gets really developed, as you can see. So see you in part 2, guys. Peace, subscribe, like.